It's so different because I see a lot of, people that have grown up in Western cultures, and the first thing I ask them is, do you drink warm water? Like, that's one of the things on the questionnaire. And so many women are like, ice cold water, right? And it's like ice baths. And I know Ayurveda and obviously TCM very, very similar in their thinking. It's like, it's got to be warm. Like, you got to nourish the body and not wake up first thing in the morning, have this green smoothie, right? That people were doing for ages and ages. And then in the middle of winter, like, they literally bring ice cold drinks to the gym. I'm like, they go, I can't drink warm water. I said, what do you mean?
Yeah.
They said, I only drink ice cold. I'm like, you only drink ice cold? And so it's this whole transition.
I explain that it's like even just ice cold water. It's like, so if you had ice cold water and you tipped it on the fire, what would happen? People have got to actually sort of start thinking.
Welcome back to the Holistic Health and Hormones podcast. Today, we're diving into a really powerful conversation around perimenopause, menopause, and nervous system healing, and what it truly means for a woman to reclaim their vitality during menopause. So many women move through this stage feeling exhausted, disconnected, and emotionally overwhelmed, or like they've somehow lost themselves. But what if this transition was actually an invitation into deeper wisdom, radiance, sensuality, and alignment? In this episode, Juicy Ayurvedic Wisdom for Menopause, we talk about how women can better support their hormones, energy, emotions, and an overall well-being naturally through this phase of life. This is such a nourishing, empowering, and deeply grounding conversation, and I know so many women are going to feel seen through this episode. So let's dive in. All right. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Holistic Health and Hormones podcast. Today, I'm super excited to have Christina with us, who is an Ayurvedic alchemist devoted to guiding women through the transformative passage of perimenopause and menopause. With a science degree, 3 decades of practice, early training in the Himalayan foothills of India, she offers natural, grounded solutions and support for women and men navigating fatigue, burnout, and the unpredictability of midlife change. Having rebuilt herself many times from trauma to single motherhood to global leadership, Christina walks with women in their most tender transitions with fierce love and gentle strength. Her work restores the nervous system, awakens vitality, and helps women rise radiant, juicy, and whole. For Christina, Ayurveda is not a modality, but a devotional way of life, and she creates a sacred, safe place for women to reclaim their vitality, truth, and crown. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you very much.
So you speak a lot of my language. I'd love for you to explain to those who haven't heard of Ayurveda, or maybe have but don't understand what that is. How does Ayurveda, or how has it taught you about life and about menopause, and just what I think the modern culture really misses in this day and age?
Well, that's a whole podcast in it.
That's a whole podcast. So what is Ayurveda?
Yeah. I mean, Ayurveda is a living container. To me, Ayurveda is about the way living it's a science of life. It's a living system for how to bring vitality every day to our body, mind, and spirit through aligning with the elements.
It's very similar to TCM because obviously I've got a traditional Chinese medicine background, and it's very similar in that sort of Eastern philosophy where it is all about the elements, how our body is one with nature. And when we're following the practices of nature, sleeping, when the sun goes down, rising, eating according to the seasons, eating according to your constitution, blood typing, all of that, which I think has been lost in the modern world so much. Like, we don't go back to our roots, which is what humans are.
Interesting. I was just writing a whole article on our roots and accessing our taproot. And that's really one of the keys of menopause, is that it's a transition time. And in Ayurveda, we call that the Kaya Kalpa. It's a body transformation. And so it's actually asking us to reroot ourselves, to actually come back to the roots and plant ourselves again in the earth and allow ourselves to regrow like a tree does. Like, it's actually like, I describe it like a deciduous tree.
Mhm.
That we've been growing and in life and everything, and then we get to this transition of menopause, and we've got to actually go within and drop all our leaves off like a deciduous tree, and start to breathe, go internally and breathe from our roots.
I think that's been lost in even earlier than just say in the perimenopause, which is sort of in our 40s. I mean, even I think this day and age, a lot of people aren't even really intuitive. They're not doing anything to do with nature. It's just rush, 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 go, go, go. They're in burnout from their 20s and 30s. And then that transition becomes a lot harder. And for me, and the work that I do is a lot of the women coming to see me for fertility are already in their early to mid 40s. And
Yeah.
they're either having their first, many of them, or they're trying for their second. And it's been like 5 years has passed, right? About that. Several years have passed. And so it becomes really difficult. And so they are, when their body is trying to slow down, they're trying to have a baby and all of that. And so, which is obviously in traditional cultures, we aren't supposed to be having, children in our 40s, right? I mean, if we follow the cycles, like even in the specific 7-year cycles of women's reproductive health, where it's like 14 is when menarche is supposed to happen. And then, we're supposed to be at our peak, sort of in our 30s. And then again, really by 49, we start to slow down with it and menopause happens. But for a lot, they are going into menopause or perimenopause even earlier. Like you can see AMH is starting to decline well into their early 40s. That's why it's struggling to conceive then. But yeah, and then many have been now going through menopause through 50s for 5, 10, 15 years, some of them. Like
Well,
long.
what I see, it's actually it all begins at menses. This is
Yes.
the whole thing. It's like,
Yes.
in Ayurveda, we see that it is a report, like we believe it's a report card to menopause for what you started with in menses. And if you're not grounded and do the process in the first stage of the transition and find a place of self-nurturing and self-care in that transition, then it's just going to keep coming to pass each month because we're given an option, and that's the beauty of nature is that we're given an option each month to
Mhm.
come in and see and self-care ourselves and just give ourselves some time and space to look after our bodies so that we can actually like move in optimum health. If we don't do that, we're gonna find that we're just constantly not in the we're constantly up. We're not cleansing. We're not moving the energy in the right direction to be able to keep the health and cleanse of our bodies.
That's the thing. Like you can also see the health of their bodies. And I said, look, having a baby and their period cycles, the way their menstrual cycle shows up each month or not show up. I've had people who have cycles every three months, or even the younger generation. I've seen some in their 30s have them like with PCOS and that, like maybe shows up like a couple of times a year. That is all signaling that obviously something is off in the body, right? And when you go to, obviously, when you go to a Western doctor, they just want to prescribe you contraceptive or give you some sort of drugs or whatnot without really going back to the roots like Ayurveda and TCM do. And it's actually looking at what are you doing with every other little bit of your diet and lifestyle, right? Like, are you resting when you're supposed to? Some of them will still go to the gym and hit, doing hit classes and really intense classes when they're bleeding profusely.
Yeah, yeah, and these act in Ayurveda, we've got all the different directions of Vata, and a part of Vata, downward moving energy, is meant to be resting at that not at that time. If you're activating, it's like it keeps it up, and then there you go. You keep having the Vata moving in the wrong direction, then you're gonna have the endometri endometriosis, all those upward energies, and the body is not being able to release. Again, we're going back to the roots, come back
Yes.
to keeping ourselves grounded in.
And the womb is such a sacred, I guess a sacred organ. So let's talk about a bit from an Ayurveda point of view. How is that? Obviously we're trying to nurture, and if you have been lucky enough to have kids or several kids, or those that haven't, how is that nurturing that sort of organ and the energy of that contributing to people transitioning through menopause and into, later on?
nurturing the womb. Like,
Yeah, I know.
like comes
I
back.
say that you nurture the womb, you can have a beautiful baby, but it hasn't been nurtured a lot of the time and it gets
Yes,
neglected and
you think
menopause comes.
it's our home of our creativity.
Yeah.
It's connected with everything. It's connected with our waters. It's connected with our
Mm.
life force. It's connected with our voice. It's the home of creation. And if that's not nurtured,
Yeah.
and again, we go back to regularity. Like, so Ayurveda, it's like it's in the seat of Vata. It's like that's the place where if we aren't regularly in the diet and lifestyle, regularly eating, making sure our foods are warm and
Warm. Yeah.
nourishing, making sure that we're oiling ourselves, making sure we eat regularly at regular times, we regularly sleep. The whole key to softening vata and any kind of excess wind in our system is to have regularity.
It's so different because I see a lot of, people that have grown up in Western cultures, and the first thing I ask them is, do you drink warm water? Like, that's one of the things on the questionnaire. And so many women are like, ice cold water, right? And it's like ice baths. And I know Ayurveda and obviously TCM very, very similar in their thinking. It's like, it's got to be warm. Like, you got to nourish the body and not wake up first thing in the morning, have this green smoothie, right? That people were doing for ages and ages. And then in the middle of winter, like they literally bring ice cold drinks to the gym. I'm like, they go, I can't drink warm water. I said, what do you mean? They said, I only drink ice cold. I'm like, you only drink ice cold? And so it's this whole
So
transition.
I explain that it's like even just ice cold water. It's like, so if you had ice cold water and you tipped it on the fire, what would happen? People have got to actually sort of start thinking, and that's the beauty of Ayurveda and TCM. Is like we start thinking of we are the microcosmos and the
Yeah.
macrocosmos, and when you start just sort of explaining that to people, of like putting a smoothie, a damp smoothie in your mouth first thing in the morning, when you're trying to light a fire, go out camping for a week and try and light a fire but pour a bottle of water on your fire first. It's like bringing it. I love simplicity of Ayurveda,
Yeah.
the simplicity of the natural. And when you start stripping everything back, you can start seeing that if we and I think that that's what menopause is asking us to align and see us as a bigger picture and how we can become connected with understanding the elements of life.
What do you think are some of the most common imbalances and things that you've seen in women going through this transition?
Well, adrenal fatigue.
Oh, yes. It's
Adrenal
speaking
I
from
think they're
earlier.
the most common ones, adrenal fatigue, brain fog,
Yeah.
and hot flushes.
Mm.
So, and they are categorized quite specifically in Ayurveda. So, adrenal fatigue is more vata aggravation and more depletion. And it's that constant pushing, 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 and not stopping and not resting the self and never. And so then the adrenals start stealing from the kidneys, and then the kidneys get depleted, and the whole thing goes down. Yeah. And then you've got pitta, which is more hot flushes and more hormonal imbalances. And the pitta people, the women that are running on high high pushing, high functioning, high
Mm.
intensity, the hot women, they're the ones that are powerful and just don't, and almost too heady, that they're the ones at the gym.
The
Powering
high
away
focus.
and drinking their ice water to cool down,
That's
they're
fun.
where the hormones start to become imbalanced quicker, and the hot flushes, and then Ayurveda sees that the heat gets trapped in the nervous system, in the deep tissues of the system, in the Majjadhatu, and when the heat gets trapped in the nervous system, then the body, it's heat trying to get out of the nervous system. And so it comes out as hot flushes because as we're going into menopause, we're losing a lot of heat in us. And it's a natural release of the pitta from our bodies, which is good, which is a healthy thing. But if we're already got high pitta and then we're releasing more pitta, it's going to get hotter and hotter.
It's very similar. Chinese medicine talk about it in terms of empty heat, right? So it's like you get hot because of the imbalance, but the yin, which is the cold, is actually high. So it's the cold, empty heat, which is then creating these hot flush symptoms. So it's
Mm. Mm.
yeah, it's very similar in
And
the
then,
way we
and then a
feel.
couple of people more likely to have weight gain and
Yes.
brain fog. And I love the to explain to people a little bit about brain fog, because brain fog is a natural release of this knowing brain, the one that was operating to keep us going in the pitta time and everything, to the heart brain. And to me, when brain fog comes around, it's actually about resting the mind and resting this place of, I know everything, I know everything, I know how to do everything, I know I've got it all under control, and actually just letting go of control,
Mm.
letting go of knowing everything, and actually trying to tap and starting to listen deeper into our intuition, into our being, into our hearts, and be moved from a place of knowing from our hearts and a connected place. So I esoterically love
Mm.
the idea of what brain fog is. It's like trust. It's learning trust. It's actually learning to trust the heart. And it's like when you're driving in fog in a car, you know that eventually it's going to finish. Like you're
Mm.
driving in fog, you know it's going to lift. And that's what brain fog is. It's asking us to just trust, just keep driving softly, gently, and you have to drive slower and just go through the brain fog. I mean, it's also you need to it's seen as toxins in the last tissue layer, which is the deepest tissue layer. So it's also menopausally, Ayurveda says just panchakarma cleansing, panchakarma cleansing. In this time of menopause, one of the profound things is cleansing, rejuvenation, cleansing, rejuvenation.
So talking on that, what can they do to cleanse and rejuvenate? What are some of the things we can do through this menopause period for cleansing and rejuvenating?
Generally, panchakarma or regular, like 10-day cleanses. I run regular 10-day cleanses. If you've got heavy, deeper toxins in the deeper tissue layers, it does take a longer time. But being patient with ourselves too.
Mm.
You can't just go, oh, I'll just do a 10-day cleanse and then I'm fine.
Yeah.
Like this is a process of like taking cleansing one layer where you've put all these toxins in for the last 30 years as you've been bleeding and traveling. It's like you've got to take time to be able to let them come out. You know, you can't, sometimes the pot needs to soak before you can get the stuff off. So regular cleansing every seasonal
Yeah.
cleansing, deep tissue cleansing of panchakarma, and then rejuvenating therapies like regular abhyangas, regular warm oil massages, regular touch, regular shirodharas, which is pouring the hot oil on the third
Mm.
eye, regular meditation and self-reflection.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I mean, they're the main things for menopause. It's like, I think they're the biggest things we can do.
They should be started earlier, right? It's not just even through menopause. This should
No.
be done for women, like I said, as soon as we go through, our menses or even in our 20s and 30s, because we don't want to wait till. So, if all of this from an Ayurvedic perspective, I know T seems similar, it's like what we're doing throughout our 20s, 30s, and 40s will, show us how we're going to go through supposedly a transition in this period. And we can have some of our best lives in our 50s and 60s.
Yeah. So it is. And like I said before, it's the report card. So it's like what you do each month to cleanse yourself shows up in how good or how easeful your menopause is. So if you have learned that, been taught, the thing is, if you've been taught that from the moment that you came into menses, which is like where we falter in Western society of not even giving beauty to that transition. of coming into our menses is then how you self-care for yourselves throughout your young periods to what happens in menopause.
It's not
And
addressed. So it's not even a lot of address. As soon as like they have their menses, say, it's starting a lot earlier too. I think for some of the women, some girls I've heard as young as eight
no, that's
having their
just
menses. But even with that, if you have a couple of years of painful periods, you go to a GP and they put you on the contraceptive, and then you're on that for like 20 years, right? And then when you want to start having a family in your mid 30s, a lot of them, they've come off it, but they've been on it since they were teenagers.
so their
You
body
know?
doesn't know, their body's lazy. It doesn't know how to operate the hormone system. So
Mm.
the hormone system's been done for it.
Right.
Same with HRT.
Yes.
It's like it's like the avoidance of these transitions. And so we've been given these pills to avoid these transitions.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about HRT. I mean, look, that's the thing. If people are going through these hot flushes, they're having all these severe menstrual menopausal symptoms, then they want to, they don't want to go through that transition. They want to make things easy. It's like if they have painful periods, I want them to be on contraceptive. I don't want to, have to deal with this. Instead of figuring out why is it
Yes.
painful? Why are you having hot flushes for like 3 to 5 years?
Mhm.
And then just a couple of questions. A lot of them are still drinking alcohol. That's another thing too, or having alcohol
Well,
in the 40s.
you've got to stop those sort of pitta aggravating
Mm.
things. It's like you're having hot flushes and that, but you taking stimulants, eating meat, having alcohol. Of course, you're going to increase the pitta, which is increasing the hot flushes.
Yeah. That's another thing I think with Ayurveda, I read, and I haven't looked into a lot around this, but I believe that women shouldn't be having as much red meat because it symbolizes blood and that. What's a take on women having specifically red meat or animals that bleed,
So, what it does, like it is recommended, especially in menopause, to tend towards vegetarianism
Mm,
because of the bone density. Because
mm.
extra protein then takes from the bone density because the calcium is needed to process the proteins, and then we're already leaching out calcium from our bones. Then you don't want to be taking something that's getting lower and lower and lower. And then at the end of menopause, we also have that a bone dump, which we lose a great amount of bone density. Yeah, it's a sort of a rebalancer so if your supplies are depleted because you've continued to have stimulants, continued to eat meat, then what are you going to do when it takes the rest?
And that's very different conflicting information. You talk to a lot of the Western medicine model, or, there's a lot of out there, oh, you've got to have more protein as you're getting older
Mm,
because your
mm.
muscle is wasting away, you're not doing as much exercise, it's like more protein when you're older.
After the bone density drop.
Mm.
So, like, this period of menopause, it's really, really important to watch your protein intake, to have good proteins, but not meat proteins that are really hard on the digestion.
Mm.
Metabolism slows. We start to become slower in the metabolism. It's harder to digest these things. And so our body's working harder, and then we're not eating them at the right times of the day. It's like it's taxing on our digestion.
That's
And
weight gain. I mean, yeah, that's why the weight gain is so people just notice in their late 40s, it's like all of a sudden, they're just whatever they're eating, they just can't shift the weight.
because their digestive, when they're not coming back to the digestive lag, our metabolism slows as we start to go into menopause, and it depends on your constitution whether you're going to have, because you're always going to have weight gain in menopause. If you don't have weight gain, you have an issue because you're going to have, then afterwards, the body's going to be depleted
Mm.
and doesn't have any reserves.
Yeah.
So it's like it's super important that we actually honor the fact that in that little time of menopause, we do gain weight. Most
What's
women,
the transition time? I mean, based on that, what is it vary for different? We're looking at 1 to 2 years, several months.
it always varies for where how does each woman birth?
Mm.
We're all
Yeah.
unique. We're all our own unique
Knowing
flat.
your own body. Yeah.
All have our own unique weights, but generally it's like 49 to to
51.
53. I say to 53
Okay.
for menopause.
Yeah.
But we generally start menopause around the 43, perimenopause around the 43 mark. But then you had and why I've called it the crown path, the last quarter of menopause is like a harvesting. And I've watched women want to rush through and finish this menopause thing.
Yeah. Get it over with. I just want it done and dusted. Finish now.
Can I finish now? And it's,
Yeah.
yeah, but you're not doing yourself a service. You're not really harvesting and allowing the fruits of who you are. If you watch a young teenage girl when she first goes through the start of menses and she's all lanky and she's coming into her body and her body's starting to form. But then they get to about 16 and there's this juiciness that comes.
Yeah.
They're beautiful sundaris,
The
they're
flowers, like that's why they have the
they're
flowering
flowering in the beauty of the woman that they are. That's the crown part. That's the crowning, the last quarter of menopause where we're like harvesting the fruit of the journey of going through menopause.
Yeah.
Where and that's the juiciness. We're not coming out dried up and wrinkled old crones.
That's what the stereotype is, "Oh, I'm gonna get arthritis, I'm gonna have flushes, I'm gonna suffer for years or a decade and, wither away."
Yeah, and I wanna change that we're coming out if we do the process in menopause and not avoid it, and just, like, allow ourselves to rest and care for ourselves and find the roots of ourselves, we collect all the beautiful jewels that we've
Scattered it through our reproductive years.
gathered around our life, and we put it in a crown, and we put it in our heart, and that's the crowning. That's the time where we actually become unapologetic. We find our voice. We find who we are. We know who we are. We've lost that need for fertilizing eggs. We've lost that need, and we don't need to externalize ourselves. We're self-sourcing puddings.
Why do so many women feel the urge to, once they sort of go through this transition, they're changing their lives, they realize the relationship they're in isn't right, and their whole identity around menopause shifts from I guess, a spiritual transformation because
It's a
it's like
spiritual
they're coming in, they've realized a lot about themselves.
Yeah. Well, it's a spiritual transformation.
Mm.
That's what menopause is. It's like
Mm.
birthing's a spiritual transformation. We're becoming from a maiden to a mother.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're becoming from a mother to a crown, to a queen.
Mm.
And so it is a spiritual transformation, menopause. It is coming into being unapologetically you. And you come out on your own side then. And sometimes, relationships and things fall apart because they weren't actually built on the roots of who you were, or one's willing to grow and one's not.
Yeah.
Because there's also men's menopause. And if men we don't actually realize that this is a time for everybody to rest. It's a time for we both have changes, and in relationship, we both have changes. But we've got to support each other. Neither of them's different to another. Neither of them is worse than another. We've just got to support each other in the differences.
And it's like that's even with men, there's stereotype, "Oh, he's going through a midlife crisis." It's like there's such negative, connotation, words, and how maybe they've seen their friends go through it or their parents. Like, if you've seen your mum go through terrible menopause, a lot of them are scared to go through menopause. They've gone through bad birthing. It's the same.
Don't understand it. And midlife crisis for men is perimenopause. And it's like men have to, in a relationship, it's just this acknowledgement that, okay, I'm going through this phase, I'll hold you, and then you'll go through your phase. Men's menopause is usually emotional. Women's menopause is usually physical.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what wisdom or gifts really, I guess, if you're going through that transition properly, what will normally you see emerge, or what are some of the spiritual emergence of this beautiful transition on the other side?
I think that probably the most beautiful thing is the transition when you meet a woman that's transitioned through and has her crown in her heart, feels embodied, feels whole and unapologetic. She's accessed the waters of herself. She's
And that's
fallen
radiant and beautiful. Like, I've got some
great.
clients who are in their late 50s and they are just like, it's amazing. Plus,
Yeah,
if they've got grandchildren, they've got, things to live for, they've done their career, they've really built a legacy, they've had this nurturing, years of nurture. They're radiant beings.
yeah, they're radiant beings and they know who they are as a woman, as the access of the water. They know their juiciness. They know their waters of who they are. They can be a wild river, a big wide river, or an expansive ocean. And when you meet that woman, they're in this. It's like you swim in the beauty of soft gentleness,
And then there's the opposite.
power. Sorry?
And then there's the opposite woman who obviously has still got work to do, right? It's not to say they won't get there, it just could take them a bit
It's just
more
a harder,
awareness.
and
Yeah.
especially if you put a Band-Aid on like
Yeah.
HRT and
Mm.
you want to avoid the process, or you've gone through it too quickly. Some women go through menopause really early and really quickly, and then they find that like a year down the track they rebleed again. Yeah, because you haven't done the work. You need to actually go back,
I've heard,
reassess.
yeah, breakthrough bleeding can
And
happen a
yeah,
year or 2 later.
and that's where Ayurveda is beautiful in those things of just nourishing the self, finding a daily practice. Like to me, one of the gifts of Ayurveda is dinacharya. Dinacharya is the daily routine of just coming back to the self, cleansing the body, cleansing the mind, cleansing the spirit. And when you come into that regularity of finding your own daily routine that sits with you, that's for you and that nourishes your constitution, nourishes your spirit, and then you find a regularity in that practice, it brings juiciness like you've never imagined.
That's one way of women to really connect. I mean, even in this time when they have done the work, they really do. You can see they've reconnected with their sensuality, their pleasure, their vitality. They're just loving life.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm,
What are
mhm.
some simple Ayurvedic rituals? So you mentioned some of the things. So what else can women begin to start implementing immediately, even if they're not in their 40s, even if they're in their 30s?
Dinacharya is always something we can implement.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
regular practice.
finding our daily routine and finding a self nurturing practice every day for cleansing the body, mind, and spirit, regardless. Like it doesn't matter whether you're in your 20s, 30s, or 40s. It just changes and moves a little bit with lifestyle and things.
What's your
Um,
daily practice?
what's mine?
Hmm.
So, from the basics of waking up in the morning, actually one of the first things I do when I come into my body in the morning is connect with the elements.
The sun.
No, I actually
No.
it's like I before in that zone of coming into the body, I connect with the ether and say a prayer to the divine. Thank you, I'm here for the day.
Huh.
And then connect with touch, with the air. Just hello, connect.
Yeah.
Hello, how am I? Connect with my feelings, with the waters of the body. How am I feeling today? And that's all in a matter of a couple of seconds of just meeting life, and then put my feet on the ground and say thank you to the earth for holding me today.
Mm. Mm.
And that simple process of just connecting with the air, the ether, the fire, the water, and the earth as a daily practice has been there for a long time with me, and it speaks to where I'm at each day. Yeah.
Mm.
And
Beautiful.
then getting up and stroking the tongue, eliminating, having my morning drink, And then it will depend on where I'm at for the day, whether I do a yoga practice, whether I go for a beach walk, whether I have a regular practice of doing warm oil, abhyanga.
Mhm.
I have the blessing of being able to choose what I want to do. Being more kapha in nature, I need that changeability. Different people need different
Mm.
things.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
and then
no, for gratitude even, right? Like when you say waking up in the morning and just having just a little bit of gratitude that you're here for another day, because we shouldn't take any days for granted.
well,
Just yeah.
every day is an opportunity for us to cleanse our body, mind, and spirit, and start fresh. Like we're given every day, we're given a day to start fresh. And each evening, saying thank you to the day, releasing what we don't need to carry so that we can sleep well and not have any emotions there, put them out for the day before we go to sleep.
Yeah, that's beautiful. What specific foods have you seen? Foods, anything around women going through that perimenopause and menopause, from an Ayurvedic perspective? Some of the herbs that you love to use when supporting women through this transition.
Well, I mean, the best herb is the shatavari especially for,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
for pitta women. Really nice in a night milk in evening time for helping because it really helps all the hormone imbalances. So women can start taking shatavari at like 43 as you start going into
Mm.
perimenopause. And that's one of my faves.
Yeah.
Aloe vera is one. It's also really, really good and Ayurveda uses aloe vera a lot for pitta women in Ayurveda.
And for gut health as well, it's really good for nourishing the gut and cleansing the colon.
Yeah, yeah, as well as for hot flushes
Mm.
and reducing heat from the body, and having it in the morning will help reduce heat from the body. You're making sure that it's properly edible aloe vera and it's natural and it hasn't been processed, and
Yeah.
there's several things to do. One of my favorite herbs is shilajit, which is really
Yes.
good
Great
for
for testosterone and like people also around fertility. Use it a lot.
fertility, and really good for bone density.
Mm.
However, it's really, really important that it's not just taken willy-nilly. It's like it's actually really heavy on the digestion, and it needs to be taken.
It's a resin, so it's quite dense.
Well, yeah, it's a mineral that
Yeah.
comes from the rocks. I used to collect it when I lived in India.
Ah.
I'd go up with the mountain monkeys and collect it from the mountains. Amazing, amazing essence because it is grounding. It's minerals from the rocks, so it's actually really, really good for grounding for low bone density. But yeah, you've got to make sure that you take it with a good digestion and that it's actually digested properly.
Mm.
Brahmi is really good for the
Mm.
mind. Brahmi grows really, really easy here. You can just have it in a pot and put it in your salad. You can make Brahmi water. You can
Mm.
me
Yeah.
tea. Really good for clearing the mind and keeping that brain fog. It's good for the brain fog.
Mhm.
Brahmi nasya, like
Mhm.
nose drops.
And I think it's just also finding someone who is working with women through menopause or naturopath and Ayurvedic medicine for them to really base it on constitution. Because that's the thing. People have internet these days, but they will still be having things for the wrong constitution. It's same with even in TCM. A lot of the women who go through menopause and even in the early sort of 60s, they know that ginseng is good. And so everyone is taking ginseng, but it may not be right for you and your constitution, right? So even though natural medicine is good, it's good for the right constitution. And
Exactly, exactly. And good for the right constitution at the right stage, at the right season, and where you're at, if depending on your imbalances. And we often think that we know, but then, what we think we can see is not necessarily what is actually going on because we all have our own perception of how good we think we are or how
Mm.
bad we think we are or so it's actually really good to be able to get someone qualified to be able to look at you from that kind of lens that we often don't see ourselves from.
Because it's coming back to the root and what each individual, and that's the thing, that's the beauty of sort of Eastern medicine. It's like we're looking at you as you are, not, you go in and everyone's on HRT. They don't differentiate your constitution, what you're like, what element, because in TCM it's the same, like you could be more, I guess, wood element, or you're more sort of earth, and you have different constitutions and different herbs.
Yeah.
No one size fits all.
And no one's the same, and no, everybody goes through the process in a different way at a different time. And you know what? We've all got different environmental effects. We've all had different environmental effects all through our lives. We have different ways that we process things. So it's like by the time you get to perimenopause, you've had all these things in your being. So it's got to sort itself out and find out what you need and what you don't. And it really is a sorting process.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think, what you said was beautiful. And I think most people need to just be aware and even understand their own bodies that little bit more. I think what, your reproductive cycles teach you is to be intuitive and just tap in. We ignore, it's like the flashlight comes on in our car. We just put a band-aid. It's like, yeah, painful periods, clots, really irregular cycles, doesn't matter. We'll just put a band-aid until we want children. It's when things start going, oh, whoops, that hasn't been so great the last couple of years or decade, but it's time to fix it now, which is
and that's the thing is like you can't keep driving a car. You're like you can ignore the flashing lights, but eventually it will run out of petrol. It'll something will happen. You can't drive it anymore, and it's like you can't keep doing that. The car will fall apart.
Yeah,
so. And our bodies are like that.
We think we're robots, or we may have AI. We might be able to get new parts and stuff soon, but until then, they're printing our organs. There's 3D printers. We could get a new, maybe uterus if we wanted, and all sorts of.
Yeah. I think I'll just stick with my elements in the garden.
I know, right? We're getting a bit far fetched. Even things like getting off topic, but even things like meat that's grown in laboratories now. You can get sort of, 3D printed meat now. It's not even real meat.
Think about how that would be nutritious to the body. I mean, we're just like it's got
lab grown meat and
any prana or any life force.
Yeah. There's no life force, right? We eat because we're humans. We eat from nature. When it starts being grown, processed foods, it starts being grown in laboratories now, meat. They're going to also, they've done so much GMOs and, modified fruits and vegetables these days. I mean, I think when I was young, there was like two types of apples. There was a green apple and then there was I think a red delicious. Now I go to the Woolworths and there's like 10 varieties or more of apples. And now I'm seeing different varieties of pears and grapes. It's like they're all creating these new
evolution, and it's a growth and expansion. But it's just like, how is that modified, and how is that an expansive race?
Yes,
it's like just how going back to the source of how does that food have prana in it? Does that food have life force in it? Can that nourish us? I mean, and our body intelligence is so amazing. Like if we just do the right thing by our bodies and clean it, wake up in the morning and give it cleaning, the body and spirit, and keep it in vitality and not abuse it, put devotion into it, our body intelligence does the job.
That's right. I've seen people actually treat their cars better than they treat their bodies.
Sometimes.
They service their car regularly. They get it cleaned. They put in the top 98 fuel, whatever, and then you see what they do to their own bodies.
Exactly. And that's why I say, you service your car regularly every 3 months.
Yeah.
But you don't do a body cleanse. That's what we should be doing.
Yeah.
It's devotion to this thing that's carrying us around.
Well, it's a live being. So for now, yes, we do have to take care of it until, who knows, with technology you can get robots and all sorts of things later. But if there's one message that you could take away or that you want the listeners to take away from this conversation.
Menopause isn't about being finished. Menopause is one of the most beautiful transitions that you can experience in life. And it's about you growing into a juicy, unapologetic version of yourself. That's majestic and present and is in harmony. And in that, we're the mothers of the world.
Yep.
We're really, we're loving the world. And so to me, menopause is a time for really harnessing that in you and knowing that you're going to your crown and not be in a hurry for it.
Yeah.
Like, slow the hell down. Perimenopause is nature's way of saying, get ready, right? Organize yourself.
It's coming.
Slow down and start looking after yourself. So nature's given us all the things that we need to listen to. But menopause is a time. It's a reconditioning time.
Yeah.
Where it's the same at birth. It's like when we give birth, that 42 days is a time to
rest.
Celebrate and rest. Right? So it's like we're given.
I think the Eastern philosophy knows that well. I mean, we have that confinement period, but it's not the same with a lot of sort of the Western culture. Whereas we know in Eastern medicine, that 42 days, that 6 weeks is like you don't go anywhere. You get these confinement natties, you sleep and you breastfeed. That's it.
Well, to me, we go back to where we started at the start with why there's so much problems with hormones. There's so much endometriosis. There's so much quick, fast, early menopause, early perimenopause, because it goes even further back to not having postpartum care and not being fully rooted in our bodies.
Exactly. Beautiful. Yeah. So if you want to connect with Christina and also be that unapologetic, vibrant, beautiful queen and step into that transition of menopause with absolute vitality, where can people connect and learn more about your work? So you were talking about you releasing a new program called The Crown Path.
Yep. So I've got my Juicy The Crown Path, and that's available now online. You can go onto my website, Embodied Ayurveda, which is EMBODYED. Ayurveda, AYURVEDA. Or just message me. You can connect with me on the socials, find me on my website, or call me,
Yeah. Amazing. We'll pop all your socials there.
But yeah, and then my book, The Crown Path, will be, fingers crossed, but it has its own menopausal time because you can't hurry. The whole thing is, it's like I had a little giggle about it the other day because it's like menopause, you can't hurry. Menopause has its own process of growth, and you can't tell menopause when you're ready for it to finish. It does the work. And so I'm writing a book on menopause, and I know I'm wanting to finish it, but menopause. So
obviously not ready to be birthed just yet.
Exactly.
A little bit more time.
Hopefully in July that'll be out on the shelves. If you
nice.
If you're looking for it, message me.
Beautiful. We'll pop it in once we get the link.
Yep.
Awesome, Christina. It was lovely chatting with you, and I hope everyone learned a few things. And remember to just love, care, and really, I think the whole message is to really be mindful of your body, mind, and spirit's all connected, but to do the work and the spiritual work.
And a regular daily practice.
That's it.
Today, come into the devotion of the self before you give out to anybody else.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for your wisdom, Christina.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Holistic Health and Hormones podcast. I hope today's conversation reminded you that menopause and midlife are not something to fear or simply to get through, but instead become a powerful invitation to slow down, reconnect with yourself, and rise into a new season of wisdom, vitality, and feminine power. If this episode resonated with you, please take a moment to share it with a friend, leave us a review so that we can continue spreading these conversations to more women who need support and reassurance during these phases of life. And as always, remember, your body is not working against you. It's communicating with you, guiding you, and inviting you into deeper healing. Until next time, look after yourself, honor, and take care of your health and body.